Hare Krishna, everyone. Sorry about that. Welcome back to our midweek program, and welcome to part 6 of our series on the 12 Mahajans. Over the past 5 weeks, we've been covering the first 5 Mahajans very wonderfully with some amazing speakers. And this week, we once again have His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, who will be enlightening us on Swayambhu Manu. Unfortunately, we had Radhabab Mataji scheduled for today, but there were some unforeseen circumstances. But don't worry, we will be hearing from her again on this series and also on our other platforms for sure very soon. So you can always look forward to that. We're just waiting for His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu to join. And as soon as he does, the class shall begin. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Karthik Prabhu, I'm here.
Hare Prabhu. My apologies.
Prabhu, no problem.
Please go ahead.
Yeah. Prabhuji, can you give me the co-host rights so I can share my screen?
You should be good now, Prabhu.
Should be good. Okay. Thank you, Prabhu. So we'll get started. Let us chant our Mangalacharan prayers first. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtham Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Hayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaura Twise Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So dear devotees, on behalf of Srila Prabhupada and on behalf of ISKCON of Atlanta, we welcome all of you for our midweek Harikatha, and we are having an ongoing discussion on the 12 Mahajans as mentioned in the 6th canto of Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we are going to discuss about Srila Swayambhuva Manu in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3. And chapter 3 and verses 20 and 21, the 12 Mahajans are mentioned in the 6th canto, 3rd chapter. And the verses are as follows. I will read them. स्वयंभूर्नारद शंभु कुमार कपिलो मनु प्रहलादो जनको भीष्मो बलिर्वया सखीर्वयम् द्वादशैते विजानीमो धर्मं भागवतं भटाः गुह्यं विशुद्धं दुर्बोधं यं ज्ञात्वामृतमश्नुते. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, Bhagwan Narad, Lord Shiva. Actually, sorry, I forgot to share my screen. Let me just share. Yes. So, translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, Bhagwan Narad Muni, Lord Shiva, the 4 Kumaras, Lord Kapila, son of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, who is the topic of our discussion today, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, and I myself. Lord Yamaraj is speaking this to Yamdutas. So he's saying, I myself, means Yamaraj, know the real religious principles. My dear servants, Yamdutas, this transcendental religious principle, which is known as Bhagavad Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna and love for him, Krishna Prem, is uncontaminated by the material modes of nature. It is very confidential and difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he is immediately liberated and thus he returns home back to Godhead. So I'll just read the verse one more time, real quick. This Srimad Bhagavatam 6.3.20 and 21. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Balirvaya Sakirvayam Dvadashaite Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhatah Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yamnyatvam Ashnute. So these are the 12 Mahajans. We just very quickly read the names of the 12 Mahajans as mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. And today we will discuss about Swayambhuva Manu. Swayambhuva Manu is described in several places, dear devotees, in Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam and also in Bhagavad Gita. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that Evam Parampara Praptam Imam Rajaya Rasyo Vidu. He tells us in the 4th chapter, Lord Krishna says that first he gave this knowledge to Imam Vivasvate Yogam. He gave this knowledge of Bhakti Yoga to Vivaswan, the sun god. And sun god gave it to Manu. And Manu gave it to Ikshwaku Maharaj. And then through Rajarshis, it came down in disciplic succession. So Manu is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, and the word Manav or Manushya, which refers to human beings, is derived from Manu, because Manu is the progenitor. He is the forefather for all human beings. Even the English word man is derived from the Sanskrit root word Manu, the father of mankind. And in Srimad Bhagavatam, much more details are described about the 14 Manus. In one day of Brahma, which is called a Kalpa, one day of Brahma, who is also a Mahajan, one day of Brahma is called Kalpa. In each Kalpa, each day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. And each Manu rules or exists for 71 Divya Yuga cycles. One Divya Yuga is the 4 yugas combined: Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali. 71 such cycles of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. 71 such cycles of Divya Yuga is the lifespan of one Manu. And in each Kalpa, each day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus. So one day of Brahma consists of 71 multiplied by 14, that is approximately 1000. 1000 Divya Yuga cycles, which means in one day of Brahma, there are 1000 Satya Yugas, 1000 Treta Yugas, 1000 Dwapar Yugas, and 1000 Kali Yugas in one day of Brahma. And then the same duration is Brahma's night. That is one full 24 hours for Brahmaji. And like that, each year of Brahmaji has 360 days. And in this way, Brahmaji lives for 100 such years. So Brahmaji has a very, very long life. And each day there are 14 Manus. But the first Manu is Swayambhuva Manu. And this Manu comes directly from the body of Lord Brahma, as described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where Maitreya Muni is instructing Vidur. And Maitreya Muni relates the history of the birth of Swayambhuva Manu. When Brahmaji performed the task of the secondary creation, primary creation is the creation done by Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, where all these universes are created in the Mahat Tattva. And there are so many gross and subtle elements: Bhumi, Rapo, Nalo, Vayur, Kham, Mano, Buddhir, Ahankar. These are 8 elements. 5 are gross elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And there are 3 subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego in the Mahat Tattva. And then there are 3 modes of material nature. And Sattva, Rajas, and Tama. Mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. This is all in the Mahat Tattva, in the material cloud. And there, by the glance, by the exhalation of Karanodakshaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, the many universes are created. In each universe, on the Garbhodaka ocean, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu lies down. So this is all primary creation, Sarga. Visarga is the secondary creation, which is performed by Lord Brahma. And the knowledge is given to Lord Brahma by Lord Vishnu. And in each universe that Brahmaji creates, again, a form of Vishnu, a Purush, the third Purusha avatar, resides on the Shvetadvip planet, which is the Vaikuntha planet within the Brahmanda, within the material universe. And that form of Vishnu is called Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. And all the incarnations, including the Leela avatars, like Matsya, Kurma, and others, Narsimha, they all come through Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. So this secondary creation is performed by Lord Brahma. And it is described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that after Lord Brahma, who is one of the Guna avatars of Krishna, he did the secondary creation. All the planetary systems were created by Brahmaji. And in spite of so much creation, there was no population, because the purpose of material creation is rectification of the conditioned souls. The Tatastha Shakti of Krishna has to be corrected and brought under the control of the Antaranga Shakti, the internal potency. Krishna has 3 potencies: internal potency, marginal potency, and external potency. Internal potency consists of the eternally liberated, Nitya Mukta, Nitya Siddha devotees of Krishna. Tatastha Shakti consists of all of us, conditioned souls. And then there is external energy, Bahiranga Shakti, which is the Mahat Tattva, which is this material world. All the universes included in that. So the purpose of this material creation is to rectify. Just like in our society, we have the police department, the jail department. And what is the jail department called? Department of Corrections. Corrections department. Why? Because the purpose is to correct and rectify the criminals. So similarly, this material world is called jail, agar. It's called Maithuna Agar, a jail where the shackles are made up of lust, Maithuna Agar. The whole reason we are here is because we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. Krishna bhulya sejev anadir bahirmukh ataiva maya tare deha samsara dukh. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells us in Chaitanya Charitamrita why we are in this material world. That Krishna bahirmukh, because we have become Krishna bahirmukh, we have turned away from Krishna. Krishna bhulya jiv भोग वांछा करे, निकटय माया तारे झपटिया धरे. Shri Jagadananda Pandit in his book Prema Vivarta, he explains that Krishna bhuliya jeev, Krishna bahirmukh jeev, bhoga vancha kare. We have a desire for sense gratification, separate from Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jeev, we forget Krishna and bhoga vancha kare. And then we have a desire for materialistic sense gratification. Nikate maya tare jhapatiya dhare. And as soon as we forget Krishna and we have a desire for selfish sense gratification, immediately we are entrapped by the Maya Shakti of Krishna. That's why we are in this world. We have to understand this, why we are in this world. Unless we understand what is a diagnosis, we will not take the treatment. If a person is convinced that my cough is because of asthma, then we will take the proper inhalers, proper treatment. Avoid those triggers that Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I sincerely apologize. My laptop just crashed. I don't know what happened, but I hope you are all able to hear me. So that is why we are in this world, that we want to enjoy separately from Krishna. Our scriptures are very clear about that. Krishna bhuliya sejiv anadir bahirmukh ataiva maya tare deha samsara dukh. So Lord Brahmaji, after creating everything, he was very disappointed because there was no progeny in this world. Can everybody hear me? Is the
Yes,
sound?
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
So, after Brahmaji created this material universe, there was no population. So Brahmaji was very disappointed. And at that time, getting inspiration from Krishna, from Lord Brahma, who is a Guna avatar of Krishna, from Brahmaji's own body, two bodies came out. And one was a male body, and that is Swayambhuva Manu, the topic of our discussion today. And the second person who came out of Lord Brahmaji's body is a female body. Her name was Shatarupa. So we should not think that they are brothers and sisters, because it was not a progeny that was conceived as we know in this material world. There was no mother, only Brahmaji. Because Brahmaji is a very empowered personality. He's actually a Guna avatar of Krishna. He's an empowered expansion of Krishna, very special. Although he's Jiva Tattva, but still he's extremely empowered by Krishna, Lord Brahma. He's one of the incarnations of Krishna, Guna avatar. So, from Brahmaji's own body, two bodies came, Swayambhuva Manu and Shatarupa. And then they produced progeny for populating this world. They had two sons, Maharaj Uttanapad and Maharaj Priyavrat, both very great souls, and their dynasties are described extensively in Srimad Bhagavatam. Then they had three daughters. They had Akuti, Devahuti, and Prasuti, and all three were given to different sages. In our previous discussion last Wednesday, we discussed how Devahuti was married by Swayambhuva Manu to Kardama Muni, and then there They had 9 daughters who were further given to different sages and who populated this world. So similarly, Akuti and Prasuti also. Now, Maharaj Uttanapad, his son was Dhruva Maharaj, which means Dhruva Maharaj was the grandson of Swayambhuva Manu. And Dhruva Maharaj, he had a mother, that is Suniti, and he had a stepmother called Suruchi. The son of Dhruva Maharaj's stepmother, Suruchi, was called Uttam. Uttam was the step brother of Dhruva Maharaj. And Dhruva Maharaj, we all know how he was ill-treated by Suruchi because she wanted Uttam to become Maharaj Uttanapad's favorite child. And Maharaj Uttanapad was the king of the whole earth planet. It was a very prestigious position. And Suruchi wanted her son Uttam to be the next king, not Suniti's son Dhruv. Even though Dhruv was the elder child. So anyway, Dhruv Maharaj at the age of 5 was ill-treated by Suruchi, and he went to the forest, and under the guidance of Shripad Narad Muni, who is another Mahajan, our Dhruv Maharaj perfected his life in 6 months by chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, this Vedic mantra, and going to Shri Vrindavan Dham, staying in the holy land of Vrindavan on the banks of Yamuna, and performing his puja, mantra jap, pranayam, meditation. Dhruv Maharaj in 6 months, by controlling his senses and by performing devotional service, he had darshan of Lord Vishnu and his life became perfect. And Lord Vishnu told him, you rule for 36,000 years on this earth planet and then you'll come back to Vaikuntha. You'll be reunited with me. So his future was assured. What security? We are always very insecure in this material world. That's why we get insurance, automobile insurance, home insurance, health insurance, because we don't know what the future holds for us. But here is 5-year-old Dhruv, by the power of Bhakti Yoga, he completely captured the heart of Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu assured him, you will rule for 36,000 years as the king of this earth planet. And you will enjoy good health, no problem. And then you will come back to Vaikuntha. You'll come to me and you'll stay with me forever. So this is the power of devotional service. This is what Srila Prabhupada came to give us, dear devotees. Pure bhakti. So Dhruva Maharaj, he was the king. And his brother, Dhruv Maharaj, had 2 wives and he had children from them also. So he was the king of the whole world and he was performing many wonderful Vedic sacrifices, devotional sacrifices, and he was taking care of his citizens very nicely. Dhruva Maharaj was ruling very nicely. And his brother, stepbrother Uttam, who was still unmarried, he went to the forest on a hunting excursion, because in those days, in Satya Yuga and in the previous ages, hunting was allowed for Kshatriyas to hone their skills and to make them strong and fit. So he went on a hunting expedition in the forest and he went north in the Himalayan mountains. And there he encountered a yaksha. Yakshas are a type of species. They are in between demigods and demons. They're very powerful. They have some tendencies like demigods, devatas, and they have some tendencies like demons, daityas. So they're in between. Sometimes they can be very good, sometimes they can be very bad. So this yaksha, for no good reason, he just killed Uttam, the stepbrother of Dhruva Maharaj. So when Dhruva Maharaj heard the news that his stepbrother Uttam had been killed unnecessarily by a yaksha in the forest, Dhruva Maharaj, as the king of the world, had a responsibility. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, he had a responsibility to take revenge. And Srila Prabhupada writes, life for a life. That is the Kshatriya code. Life for a life. So he got onto his chariot. He went to Alkapuri, the place where all the yakshas live. And the Yaksha Raj, the king of the yakshas, is Kuver himself. Very powerful, very rich and very powerful Kuver. He is a brother of Lord Shiva. So Dhruva Maharaj went to Alkapuri, the kingdom of the yakshas, and he challenged the yakshas. He didn't know which yaksha had killed his brother. He challenged the yakshas that my brother has been killed. Please come and face me. He blew his conch shell very loudly. And the sound of the conch shell was terrifying to the Yaksha ladies. So the Yaksha men, who are very heroic and powerful, they came out fully armed with their numerous weapons like bow and arrow, sword, clubs, spears, etc. And all at once, thousands of them, they attacked Dhruva Maharaj, who was alone. And Dhruva Maharaj, because he is always protected by Krishna. Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe ke. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that if Krishna protects someone, no one can kill that person. And if Krishna wants to kill someone, no one can save that person. So Krishna always protects his devotees. Avashya rakshibe Krishna. Kaunteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashyati. So Krishna protected Dhruva Maharaj. Even though so many yakshas were attacking, Dhruva Maharaj with his bow and arrow, he fought ferociously and defeated them all. They went inside their kingdom and brought reinforcements and brought more yaksha soldiers. And countless yakshas, they simultaneously attacked Dhruva Maharaj, and they were also using their magic tricks. Dhruva Maharaj is human being. Yakshas are a higher species than human beings, much higher species, much more powerful and sophisticated. But still, Dhruva Maharaj was so empowered, so powerful, that he fought back. And when he was getting overwhelmed with so many yakshas attacking, Dhruva Maharaj, he prayed to Krishna. And all the rishis, great sadhus, they appeared there. And they reminded him that you are always protected by Lord Narayan. So chant the Narayan mantra. And Dhruva Maharaj remembered the Narayan mantra, and immediately Narayan Astra came, the weapon of Lord Narayan. And as soon as Dhruva Maharaj released that weapon, the yakshas were slaughtered left, right, and center. They were completely overwhelmed and utterly defeated. And Dhruva Maharaj was so angry at the yakshas because of their misbehavior and how they had killed his younger brother, stepbrother. He was fighting with them ferociously and just killing them. And yakshas were running here and there, helter-skelter. They were very scared. And Dhruva Maharaj fought on with great power and valor. At that time, when the news reached Dhruva Maharaj's grandfather, the great Mahajan, the first Manu, Shri Swayambhuva Manu, when he got this news, he came there. He came there and he instructed very wonderfully Dhruva Maharaj. And those instructions, some of those verses, my dear friends, I would like to read today in glorification of Swayambhuva Manu. These verses are the instructions of Swayambhuva Manu to Dhruva Maharaj, who is himself a perfected person. But these instructions are very, very important. I wanted to share them on the screen, but my computer crashed. So those of you who want to pull up, this is Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 11, entitled Swayambhuva Manu instructs Dhruva Maharaj. And we can go to verse number 6, 4.11.6. If Sadananda Ramchandra Prabhu or Karthik Prabhu can share, that would be very nice. But if not, it's okay. Srimad Bhagavatam 4.11.6. These are the instructions given by our Mahajan, Shri Swayambhuva Manu, to Dhruva Maharaj. So please understand, please remember, my dear friends, this is a conversation between two very exalted souls. Swayambhuva Manu, who is the topic of our discussion today, a great Mahajan, and Dhruva Maharaj, who is a perfectly self-realized Mahabhagavat. So we must listen to this conversation very carefully, dear devotees. This is verse number 6. Tan hanyamanan abhiviksha guhyakan anagasas chitrarathena bhurishaha autanapadim kripaya pitamaho manur jagado pagata sahashribhi. Translation and purport by our beloved founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Abhay Charana Aravinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada. Translation: when Swayambhuva Manu saw that his grandson Dhruva Maharaj was killing so many of the yakshas who were not actually offenders. Out of his great compassion, he approached Dhruva with great sages to give him good instruction. To give him good instruction. So let's look at the verse, deity word. Let's look at the synonyms, please. So we see that Chitra Rathena. Chitra means very beautiful. And Ratha means chariot. So Dhruva Maharaj, who by the mercy of Lord Vishnu had a very beautiful chariot. And what was he doing? Hanyamanan. He was killing the yakshas. Guhyakas, the yakshas. And what is Swayambhuva Manu addressed here as? Pitamaha Manuhu. Pitamaha means grandfather. So Dhruva Maharaj's father was Maharaj Uttanapad, and Uttanapad's father is Swayambhuva Manu. So he's the grandfather of Dhruva Maharaj. Therefore, he's called Pitamaha Manu. He gave instructions, Jagada. And who was Swayambhuva Manu accompanied by? Saha Rishibhi, with great sages. Great sages were accompanied. So this is a very important lesson for us, my dear friends. And if you see, Srila Prabhupada writes that he spoke out of great compassion. Out of great compassion for Dhruva Maharaj. Because Dhruva Maharaj, so it is said, Kripaya, out of mercy. Kripaya Pitamaha Manuhu. Swayambhuva Manu spoke out of Kripa, out of compassion. So two very important things to learn from Swayambhuva Manu, my dear friends. One is that he's speaking, he's giving instructions, Jagada, he's giving instructions, but Kripaya, out of compassion, out of mercy. This is very important, my dear friends. When we give instructions, it should be out of a feeling of causing welfare. We should be well-wishers. Everyone likes to give instructions. Everyone likes to instruct others. But we have to see our motives. Are my motives pure? Am I really the well-wisher, or do I have an ulterior motive? By giving instructions, do I want to establish myself as this person's superior? Do I want to convince others that I am more advanced? Do I want to portray myself as a senior devotee by giving instructions? Do I have any hidden agendas? Do I want to accomplish something, some vested interest through these instructions? If that is so, then we are not pleasing Krishna. We are not following the path of the Mahajans. In the previous discussion, we heard that Mahajanoyana Gathasapantha. In Sri Mahabharat, we are taught that we have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. And that we are not doing if we give instructions with ulterior motive. Srila Prabhupada writes, to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we have to be sincere in Krishna consciousness. We have to follow the vows of initiation. There are three aspects to our vows of initiation, which are very important. 4 regulative principles we have to follow. No illicit sex, no gambling, no meat eating, and no intoxication. Sometimes it is very difficult. The temptation is too strong. And we feel that I am going to get so much enjoyment by giving into these temptations. But what happens is, by breaking the 4 regulative principles, we are breaking our connection with the Guru Parampara. What a loss. For a few moments of enjoyment, we are losing our connection, the sacred connection with Shri Guru and the Guru Parampara. So we have to be very responsible, and we have to choose wisely. Few minutes, and that sense gratification will be finished. Then no more. But suffering will be there a lot. Therefore, it is better to control the senses. Second is chanting at least 16 good quality rounds every day. And this can be done easily in the morning. So this is the second aspect. And the third aspect is, which often is not given focus, is during initiation, we all have taken a vow. I will chant 16 rounds at least every day. I will follow the 4 regulative principles, and I will serve in the mission of Srila Prabhupada in the mood of the servant of the servant of the servant. This Dasanudas Seva Bhav in ISKCON is very important, my dear friends. So we have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. Mahajano ena gatha sapanta. Tarko pratishtha shrutoyo vibhinna nashav rishiryasya matam na bhinnam dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam mahajano ena gatha sapanta. To perfect our lives, we have to follow in the footsteps of the Mahajans. So if we have ulterior motives, then we are not following in the footsteps of the Mahajans. Srila Prabhupada says to make spiritual advancement, we have to be sincere, which means these three things, three vows of initiation we have to follow. We should be serious. Serious means we have to associate with devotees, and we have to reduce our association with non-devotees. That is called serious devotee. So we have to be sincere, follow the three vows of initiation. We have to be serious, associate with devotees, and slowly disassociate ourselves from non-devotee association. And Srila Prabhupada says, this is Srila Prabhupada's words, to make advancement in Krishna consciousness, we have to be sincere, serious, and without ulterior motives. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, we have to be without ulterior motives. So therefore, when we instruct others, we have to remember Swayambhuva Manu, Kripaya, out of compassion. Because he's a well-wisher, he's giving instructions to Dhruva Maharaj. And the second thing we can understand is Saha Rishibhi. Swayambhuva Manu is not alone. He is accompanied by the holy rishis, holy men. So the second lesson we can learn from this verse is we should always keep the company of advanced devotees. We should always be in the association of advanced devotees, in person or virtually, through YouTube, through ISKCON Desire Tree. Our Gurugan, we should keep in touch with them. We should always, every day, hear at least few minutes Guru Vani, words of our Diksha Guru, words of our Shiksha Guru, and words of our preeminent Shiksha Guru, Srila Prabhupada, who is our founder Acharya, every day. Now we are reading these purports, translations. These are all Srila Prabhupada's words, especially the Bhaktivedanta purports. So we should, two things we learn. We should give instructions with pure intention, out of compassion and welfare of others. And second is, we should saharishibhi, we should always keep company of advanced devotees. So now after translation, we'll read the purport. Dhruva Maharaj attacked Alkapuri, the city of the Yakshas, because his brother was killed by one of them. One of the Yakshas killed the brother, Uttam. Second sentence of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, actually, only one of the citizens, one of the Yakshas, and not all of them, was guilty of killing his brother Uttam. Dhruva Maharaj, of course, took a very serious step when his brother was killed by the Yakshas. War was declared and the fighting was going on. This sometimes happens in present days also. For one man's fault, a whole state is sometimes attacked. This kind of wholesale attack is not approved by Manu, the father and lawgiver of human race, because Manu Maharaj has given us Manu Samhita, which is the law book for mankind. He therefore wanted to stop his grandson Dhruva from continuing to kill the Yaksha citizens who were not offenders. So not all Yaksha citizens were offenders. Only one was there who is offensive. But it just went on and on. So now, Sadananda Ramchandra Prabhu, please can we go to the next verse, the last verse for today. Now we saw how from this verse we learned two lessons. This whole chapter, chapter 11 of 4th canto, where Shri Swayambhuva Manu instructs Shri Dhruva Maharaj, each and every verse, my dear friends, has got so many instructions. But we don't have time. So this is only the other verse we will speak. And this is verse spoken by Shri Swayambhuva Manu himself. So 4.11.7. Manur uvacha alam vatsa tiroshena tamo dvarena pamana yena punya janan etan avadhistvam anagasaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Manu said, see, Srila Prabhupada is addressing Manu as Lord Manu. Why? Because in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that Swayambhuva Manu is also one of the empowered incarnations of Krishna. Empowered. He is Jiva, but he is empowered by Krishna, Shakti Avesh. So therefore, Lord Manu said, "My dear son, please stop. It is not good to become unnecessarily angry. It is the path to hellish life. Now you are going beyond the limit by killing yakshas, who are actually not offenders." Let's look at the synonyms now. So Manu Uvacha means Manu said. Alam means enough. And see how Swayambhuva Manu is very tactfully addressing Dhruva Maharaj, his grandson, as Vatsa. Vatsa means my dear child. There is the cow and there is the calf. The cow is called Go, and the calf in Sanskrit is called Vatsa. And it is said that a cow is very, very loving and affectionate toward its calf. Therefore, we say Vatsalya Rasa. There is Shanta Rasa, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Shringar Ras or Madhurya Ras. So, parental affection is called Vatsalya because it is representing the feelings that a cow has for the Vatsa, the calf, Vatsalya. And Krishna is called Bhakta Vatsal. Just like a cow loves the calf, Krishna loves his devotees millions and millions of unlimited times more. So that's Vatsalya, Bhakta Vatsal. So here, Swayambhuva Manu is addressing Dhruva Maharaj as my dear boy. Srila Prabhupada gives the synonym my dear boy, Vatsa. Which means when we reprimand someone, when we chastise someone, when we give a negative feedback, or when we instruct or correct someone, our speech should be very soft. Because instructions and correction, negative feedback, constructive feedback, chastisement is a bitter pill. Is a bitter pill to swallow. So we must try our best to present it in such a way, give it in such a way that it becomes acceptable and digestible. Otherwise, the person will spit it out or vomit it out. So we have to be mindful of that. So therefore, Vatsa. If you read the Hare Krishna, sorry about that, I got a phone call. If you read the further verses, Swayambhuva Manu addresses Dhruva Maharaj as Anga. Anga means you are part of my body. You are part of my body. Anga. Very intimate way of addressing. So yes, even when we give instructions and correction to someone, corrective feedback, our speech should be very sweet and genuinely loving. Not that artificially we call Vatsa and Anga and don't mean it, but genuinely, we should care for each other. Tadera charana sevi bhakta sane bas, janama janame hoy ei abhilash. We are each other's servants. So Vatsa, that's one lesson we can learn. Then Manu Maharaj is saying to Dhruva Maharaj, Ati Roshena. Look at that word. Ati Roshena. Rosh means anger. Ati Roshena means too much anger, getting excessively angry. Getting furious is what? Tama Dvarena. It is the path of Tama, mode of ignorance. And it will lead to hell. It will lead to hell. And see now, Papama. Papa. Swayambhuva Manu is saying what Dhruva Maharaj is now doing, Ati Roshena, in excessive anger, Avadhi, killing so many of yakshas, it is Pap. Papmana. It is very sinful. And what is he addressing the yakshas as? Punya Janan. Just see the choice of words of Swayambhuva, so expert. He is addressing them as Punya Janan. To remind Dhruva Maharaj that you are not the only person who is Punyavan. Others also have some value. others also have some relevance. Sometimes when we are angry, we consider the person in front of us completely insignificant. The object of our anger, that is completely worthless. We consider them. They have no worth. They shouldn't exist. We want to finish them in anger. We think like that. So it is good to remind that that person at whom you are angry also has many good qualities. We have to take that into consideration. Let's read Srila Prabhupada's purport. And he calls them not just Punya Janan, but also the last word, Anagasaha. They are offenseless. All of them have not committed offense. Why are you killing them all? Please think. Purport. Srila Prabhupada ji writes, in this verse, the word Ati Roshena means with unnecessary anger. When Dhruva Maharaj went beyond the limits of necessary anger, his grandfather Swayambhuva Manu immediately came to protect him from further sinful action. From this, we can understand that killing is not bad, but when killing is done unnecessarily, or when an offenseless person is killed, such killing opens the path to hell. Dhruva Maharaj was saved from such a sinful action because he was a great devotee. Just see. So if we have devotion, even if sometimes we get deviated and we are going along a wrong path, going down a wrong path, because of our previous devotion, Krishna will save us, either directly or through some agent. But test of our intelligence is, my dear friends, that we should be willing to listen. Hare Krishna. When Krishna speaks, we should be able to identify that this is Krishna's voice. A tea seller told Srila Prabhupada in Delhi, a tea seller, tea stall wala, told Srila Prabhupada that you are writing this Back to Godhead magazines, you are typing them, writing, proofreading, printing them, and hand distributing them. But it's a magazine, literally like a newspaper. People will read it and throw it the next day. Instead, you should write books. So Srila Prabhupada, he took it as Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his Guru Maharaj, speaking through that tea seller. Just see. This is called real intelligence. This is called real maturity. Maturity means not to reject a good suggestion just because you don't like the source. Hare Krishna. Even if a good advice comes from a source that is not very respectable, we should still accept it. Yeah, this is a good advice. A very nice advice. We should accept it. When Dhruva Maharaj was chastised by Suruchi, she was also Ati Roshena. She was also under too much anger at Dhruv, unnecessarily, just because he climbed on his father's lap. She said, who do you think you are? What do you think of yourself? Do you think you have a right to sit on your father's lap? If you want to sit on your father's lap, you need to die and take birth from my womb. Only if you take birth from my womb, because I am the king's favorite wife, then you will get the right to climb on your father's, Maharaj Uttanapad's lap. And to be born from my womb, you need pious credits. Therefore, go and worship Narayan. So when Dhruv went to his mother, Suniti, crying, and he told what Suruchi had spoken, Suniti said, oh, Suruchi has given good advice. Why? Even though her words were very harsh and they were filled with anger and envy, she said, if you want to make progress in life, you must get punya, and you can get punya by worshipping Lord Narayan. That is a good advice. Just see, this is called Saragrahi, seeking the essence. That's a quality of a devotee. A devotee is Saragrahi. Srila Prabhupada was Saragrahi. He accepted that advice from a tea seller, and he started working on the 3 volumes of Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, Jai Srila Prabhupada, which were the weapons that he brought to the West with him on the Jaladuta ship. So like that. So we continue the purport. A Kshatriya, so the point was that if we are a devotee, if we have performed Krishna bhajan, even if we sometimes go down a wrong path, Krishna will save us. Either directly through some representative, but we have to be sensitive to accept, to identify good advice and accept it. That is very important. Krishna will save. Even in the purports of 6th canto, Srila Prabhupada writes a brilliant point. Srila Prabhupada writes that because Ajamil was a devotee in his childhood and he had assisted his father in the worship of Lord Vishnu as a child, even when he went to the forest, he had gone to get kusha grass and flowers and fruits for the worship of Vishnu. And during that excursion in the forest, he happened to see that prostitute and fell down. He became filled with lust and fell down. But because he had been a devotee, Neha Vikramanashosti Pratyavayana Vidyate Swalpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhaya. It will save us from the greatest fear. When Ajamil was face to face with the three Yamadutas, because he had sinned with body, mind, and words, in a very fearful situation, but because previously he had been a devotee, the Vishnu Dutas came. That's why his son was accidentally named Narayan. And he called to his son, Narayan, 10th son, and the Vishnu Dutas came and saved him. Srila Prabhupada writes, why was Ajamil saved? Because previously he had been a devotee. So, if we have practiced devotional service, if by Durdaiva, by misfortune, we leave the path of Krishna consciousness, but our bhajan will not go in waste. Whatever bhajan we have done, it will rescue us at the end of our life, for sure. And we will get another opportunity to continue our bhajan. There are so many examples. Hayagriva Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada's disciple, is a glorious example of such mercy of Krishna. Krishna never forgets. Srila Prabhupada never forgets what we have done in the past. So that is the lesson. So we'll continue the next paragraph. A Kshatriya is allowed to kill only for maintenance of the law and order of the state. He is not allowed to kill or commit violence without reason. Violence is certainly a path leading to a hellish condition of life, but it is also required for maintenance of law and order of the state. Here, Lord Manu prohibited Dhruva Maharaj from killing the Yakshas because only one of them was punishable for killing his brother Uttam. Not all the Yaksha citizens were punishable. We find in modern warfare, however, that attacks are made upon innocent citizens who are without fault. According to the law of Manu, such warfare is a most sinful activity. Just bombing and this and that. So many things happen. Terrorist attacks. It's just so sinful. Furthermore, at the present moment, civilized nations are unnecessarily maintaining many slaughterhouses for killing innocent animals. When a nation is attacked by its enemies, the wholesale slaughter of the citizens should be taken as a reaction to their own sinful activities. That is nature's law, or law of Manu, Manu Samhita. End of purport. Yes. So Srila Prabhupada had said that as long as two activities are going on in human society will not know any peace. What are those two activities? Abortions and animal slaughter. As long as animal slaughter, meat eating is going on and abortions are going on, human society, individually and collectively, we will not know peace. There will be war and pestilence at all times. It may take the form of COVID-19, it may take the form of hurricane, tsunami, war, terrorist attacks, upadhruta. There will always be disturbance in our life, individually and collectively. Because we are living in one society, we have to collectively also pay the price. Even though as devotees, we may not be engaging in abortions and meat eating and supporting the slaughterhouses, but collectively we have to pay the price because we are part of the society. We are using the same water, breathing the same air, riding on the same roads. Yes, we are all connected as a human society. Srila Prabhupada said, we will not know any peace. Human race will not know peace until abortions and animal killing is not animal killing is not given up. So like that. So these are some very important lessons. I could go on. These verses are very beautiful. I encourage all of you to read them, filled with instructions, filled with nectar. And the final point I would like to conclude with is Dhruva Maharaj. Even though Dhruva Maharaj had Sakshat Darshan of Krishna, he was completely self-realized. But when he was getting instructions from a superior, he humbly accepted. Dhruva Maharaj did not argue with Swayambhuva Manu. He fully accepted the instructions of Swayambhuva Manu and immediately stopped fighting. That is a good quality. Doesn't matter. See, Dhruva Maharaj could have said, Swayambhuva Manu, have you had darshan of Krishna? In fact, Srila Prabhupada writes, and even later on in the verses it is there, that no one in the family of Swayambhu Manu had Sakshat Darshan of Krishna like Dhruva Maharaj had, where Krishna came and blessed and touched the head with his Panchajanya conch shell. No one had that fortune. Only Dhruva Maharaj. He was most advanced. But still, Dhruva Maharaj had the maturity and the humility to take instructions, take good advice. Because we may all make mistake, or we may all be at a point in our life where we need guidance. So Dhruv Maharaj shows that excellent quality of accepting instructions from Swayambhu. So like that. So Srimad Bhagavatam is full of nectar. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. If there are any questions, maybe we can take one question. There are 3 minutes left.
Thank you for a wonderful class. We do have some devotees who have their hands up. I have one question that was already sent in from Sadhananda Ramachandra Prabhu. So I'm just going to read that out for you. He asked, if Dhruva Maharaj rose above material desires by realizing the Lord by meditation, how does he exhibit this kind of anger?
So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purports, in the subsequent verses, we didn't get a chance to go through all the verses and all the purports. Srila Prabhupada writes that very beautiful, amazing purport Srila Prabhupada writes in the future verses. Srila Prabhupada says that it was the duty of Dhruva Maharaj to get angry because his brother was unnecessarily killed by the Yakshas. So as a king, he had duty to show that anger, but it is temporary anger. Srila Prabhupada writes, it's temporary anger, and it is meant to chastise them and correct them so that the Yakshas who are more powerful will never again consider the human beings insignificant and dare to engage in such blatant transgression of moral values. So it was the duty of Dhruva Maharaj to exhibit that anger, but it is temporary. And Srila Prabhupada says, he gives the example that when devotees are ill-treated by materialistic people, for example, we are doing Sankirtan or we are distributing books, or let's take the example of Mr. N, who troubled Srila Prabhupada, gave so much pain to Srila Prabhupada for the Juhu property in Bombay, Hare Krishna land. So Prabhupada would get angry at Mr. N with his corrupt tactics and his underhanded dealings and all those things. Prabhupada would get angry, but Prabhupada did not carry that anger. It's temporary anger to chastise him. Prabhupada chastised his wife also, along with the wife's guru when they met once. So that is temporary anger. So this anger that Dhruva Maharaj exhibited, it is to be considered as a temporary display of anger because he is in the position of a king and someone had killed his brother unnecessarily. So to exhibit that anger and to chastise them, to scare them, one takes to such temporary anger. And Srila Prabhupada actually tells a very nice story in that purport. Let me see if I can remember that story. Srila Prabhupada says, very nice. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I was able to remember. In that purport, Sadananda Ramchandra Prabhu, Srila Prabhupada tells a very beautiful story. Srila Prabhupada says that once Shripad Narad Muni, he saw a cobra. And the cobra was very fearsome, very ferocious, had bitten so many human beings who had unknowingly stepped on him, bitten them and killed them. A king cobra. So Narad Muni, being so merciful, being a Mahajan, he wanted to show his compassion. So out of Kripaya, out of compassion, he preached to that cobra. Narad Muni is also Shaktavesh avatar. He can do anything. He has this potency. He can speak to animals. He spoke to Kailash when Kailash had become a dog and then a snake. So anyway, Narad Muni spoke to this king cobra and preached to him and made the king cobra his disciple. The snake became his disciple. And Shripad Narad Muni instructed, Srila Prabhupada writes the story. Shripad Narad Muni instructed that king cobra, from today, you will be very peaceful. You will be very gentle and you will not strike and bite anyone. King Cobra said, yes, Gurudev. Yes, Narad Muni, as you say. So that snake would, freely roam around without any fear because he knew that he didn't have any ulterior motive. He would never bite anyone. He would never attack anyone, never hiss at anyone. So everything was okay. But some naughty children, when they saw that the snake appears very dull, doesn't attack, and maybe it is sick and about to die. So they started throwing stones at the snake, started poking that king cobra with sticks. So the king cobra went away. And then after some time, he met Narad Muni. So Narad Muni asked the cobra, so my dear snake disciple, how are things going? So he told Shripad Narad Muni, Gurudev, things are okay, but these boys in the village, they trouble me a lot. They think I'm harmless, and they just throw stones at me, poke me with sticks, make fun of me, try to trouble me. I had to run away to save my life. So Shripad Narad Muni said, oh, that is not good. Just because you are peace-loving doesn't mean that they ill-treat you. Next time they do that, you just expand your hood and hiss at them very ferociously and show them your fangs and scare them away. But don't bite them. So the snake said, okay. So next time the snake went and the children saw, they again attacked. The snake showed his ferocious form, his fangs. The kids got scared and ran away. And never again they troubled the snake. But the cobra never bit anyone. He just scared them away. So Srila Prabhupada writes, the anger of devotees like Dhruva Maharaj is like the hissing of that disciple snake. He was never going to bite, but he was just hissing so that they will not take undue advantage. You teach the children a lesson, don't take undue advantage of a cobra's peaceful nature. So Dhruv Maharaj also was trying to establish a point and teach them a lesson that don't do this, don't kill like this human beings just because they're weaker than you. Is that helpful, Sadananda Ramchandra Prabhu? I spoke from Srila Prabhupada's purport.
Thank you so much for the wonderful answer, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, I think he gives us a thumbs up. That was a good answer. He can't speak right now. Prabhu, do you have time for a few more questions? Or
okay, bro, we can take.
Okay, so we have Parima Matji. If you would like to ask your question, you may go ahead and unmute yourself and ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for this wonderful class. Please accept my humble obeisances and Dandavat Pranams. Prabhuji, I have this question, Prabhuji, that how can a self-realized person who is free from Maya, once you are self-realized, you are free from Maya permanently. Only then I think you can be self-realized, if I'm understanding it correctly. Then,
yes.
Then how can you fall? Or is it that they are pretending to fall to teach us? So I don't know if I'm writing my understanding.
No, they are neither falling nor are they pretending to fall. They are neither falling nor are they pretending to fall. So in Narhari Chakravarti's book Bhakti Ratnakar, he writes that he describes how Rupa Goswami unknowingly hurt the feelings of Krishnadas Baba, the limping sadhu who came to the darshan of Rupa Goswami at Siddha Bakul. So in that, he describes that pastime, and then Rupa Goswami lost his samadhi. He could not get Radha and Krishna back in his Leela Smaran. So in that context, Srila Narahari Chakravarti writes, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Priya Bhakta Dware Annera Shiksha Karaye Eita Prakare. That in this way, using Rupa Goswami, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is teaching us a lesson that be very careful, don't commit Vaishnava Aparadha, don't hurt devotees. Not that Rupa Goswami hurt, but he's using Rupa Goswami as an example. Rupa Goswami is a pure self-realized, he's Rupa Manjari. There is no question of committing Vaishnava Aparadha for Rupa Goswami. Similarly, Dhruva Maharaj was Atma Sakshatkari. He had seen face-to-face Lord Vishnu. He knew his relationship in Shantaras with Lord Vishnu. And he knew his destination, that I live eternally on Shvetadvip planet with Lord Vishnu. So he was completely self-realized. There was no question of falling down. So this anger, although Manu Maharaj says that it is a path to hell, that is for us, to instruct us. Not that Dhruva Maharaj was going to fall down. So why did this pastime happen? Because it is Leela. Through Dhruva Maharaj, Krishna is teaching us that don't be ati roshena. Don't have too much anger. Control your anger, like Hanumanji. Hanumanji controlled his anger. He used his anger in the service of Lord Ramchandra, but he controlled his anger. Otherwise, anger can lead to very disastrous results. So therefore, this story of Dhruva Maharaj and Manu Maharaj is meant to teach us that there is a danger in anger. Not that Dhruva Maharaj was a victim of anger. If someone has Kama, Krodha, Tatha, Lobhas, Tasmad, Tarayam, Tejet, Krishna says you have to give up them. if you don't want to go to hell. So if Dhruva Maharaj is self-realized, he has had darshan of Krishna, he has seen Krishna face to face. So how can he have any traces of mundane anger? Not possible. So this is Krishna's Leela. Krishna is manifesting that anger, this Leela, to teach us so many lessons. One of the lessons is we may be very advanced spiritually, but we should be very careful of anger. And we should always be willing to receive instructions from superiors, like Swayambhuva Manu. Is that helpful, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, thank you so much for your beautiful answer. I understood your point, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Next up, we have Ananda Murthy, Prabhu. Prabhu, if you're ready to ask, you may go ahead and ask your question.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
हरे कृष्ण, दंडवत प्रणाम।
कैसे प्रभु जी, आपने जो अभी बोला कि उच्च वैष्णव जो आप डेवोटी है उसका ही संग करना, डेवोटी नहीं हो, नॉन डेवोटी नहीं हो, उसका संग नहीं करना। तो अगर नॉन डेवोटी का संग, जो डेवोटी संग नहीं करेगा तो नॉन डेवोटी डिवोटी कैसे बन पाएगा?
बहुत। ये नंद कुमार प्रभु है?
नहीं, आनंद मूर्ति दास प्रभु। नंद कुमार प्रभु दास का ब्रदर।
अच्छा, हरे कृष्ण, आनंद मूर्ति प्रभु, दंडवत। मैं देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं फोन से बात कर रहा हूँ, तो मैं किसी को देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ। तो आई विल जस्ट इंग्लिश में जवाब दिया चलेगा ना प्रभु?
हाँ, कोई बात नहीं, चलेगा चलेगा।
बिकॉज कुछ डिवोटीज को हिंदी इंग्लिश हिंदी नहीं आती होगी। सो प्रभु जी, आनंद मूर्ति प्रभु इज आस्किंग अ क्वेश्चन. ही इज रेजिंग अ वेरी वैलिड पॉइंट that if we only associate with devotees and we don't associate with non-devotees, then how will the non-devotees become devotees? So the meaning of association is to have a discussion. There should be transmission of transmission of information and transformation. Association has these three aspects to it: discussion, transmission of information, and transformation. So, for example, when Dhruva Maharaj and Narad Muni met in the forest, when Dhruva Maharaj left his house in search of Krishna, there was a discussion. Narad Muni said, "Don't take this family fight so seriously. Go back home. Go play with your brother. Your stepmother will cool down. Don't take it so seriously." Dhruva Maharaj said, "No. I want to get Krishna. I want to have a kingdom better than my father, Uttanapad. I want to have a kingdom better than my grandfather, Swayambhuva Manu. I want to have a kingdom better than my great-grandfather, Lord Brahma." Like that, he said. So there was a discussion. You tell me how I can get a bigger kingdom, Narad Muni. Otherwise, leave me alone. So then Narad Muni said, all right. You go to Vrindavan, go to Madhuvan on the bank of Yamuna, you do this tapasya, chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudeva, like that. So there was a discussion. Then Narad Muni gave instructions how to worship Krishna. That is transmission of information from higher source to a lower source. High potential to low potential, from a senior devotee to a junior devotee. That's called transmission of information. And then Dhruva Maharaj accepted that, and there was a transformation. Kachan Vichantam api divya ratnam. The transformation was that he became a pure devotee, and he realized my desire for a kingdom in this world was like looking for pieces of broken glass. But what have I found? Divya Ratnam. I have got Ujjwal Neelamani, Krishna, the highest jewel. So the transformation. So when I say that don't associate with non-devotees, I mean this type of sangha, this type of association, where there is transmission of information and transformation. We should not get transformed by the instructions of non-devotees, but we should receive information from higher Vaishnavas, higher devotees, and get transformed positively. That is association. Now for business, for work, we have to associate with them. But that association should be not heart to heart. It should be superficial. Like when we go to the superstore to buy grocery, what do? We pick out good grocery. We don't bother with the rotten, spoiled grocery. Pick up good grocery, we just give, hello, how are you? We tell the cashier at the checkout counter, how you doing? Good. And they may say, I like your tilak, I like this. Oh yes, thank you. I also like, how nicely you're taking care of customers. You pay the bill and you go. So there was an interaction, but it was not heart to heart. That is how we should interact with non-devotees. हमें संग करना है अवैष्णव का, क्योंकि इस भौतिक जगत में रहते हैं हम, लेकिन वो संग हृदय से नहीं होता है. वो केवल जितना लौकिक व्यवहार में जितना आवश्यक है उतना ही. लेकिन भक्तों के साथ हम ददाति प्रतिगृह्णाति गुह्यम आख्यातिक प्रसिद्ध, बिल्कुल हृदय से संबंध होता है, और हम हृदय से बात करते हैं, उनसे उनका आश्रय लेते हैं, उनसे उपदेश ग्रहण करते हैं, और हमारे हृदय में एक अच्छा परिवर्तन होता है। उसे संघ कहते हैं। वैसा संघ करना चाहिए। वैसा संघ हमें हृदय नहीं खोलना है अवैष्णव के सामने, हमें केवल वैष्णव के समक्ष हमारा हृदय खोलना है और उनसे मित्रता करनी है। ठीक है प्रभु जी, आनंद मूर्ति प्रभु।
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for your wonderful answer.
Prabhu, we'll end it here, Prabhu. I have.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for such a wonderful class once again. And thank you for, on such short notice, stepping in. We look forward to hearing from you once again very soon, either on this midweek program or the Sunday program. And yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We're going to be moving on to the next part of the program, where we have some important announcements to make. Just give us a few seconds to pull up our little slideshow. Okay, coming up next week, we have the next part of our 12 Mahajan series, where we will be hearing from a new speaker on this program, His Grace Jayakumar Prabhu, who will be addressing us on the next Mahajan, Prahlad Maharaj. That will be next Wednesday, September 29th at our regular time, 7 p.m. EST. Coming this Sunday, we have a special class on Krishna blessing Sudama Brahman, and we are honored to have Her Grace Geeta Mataji who will be speaking. Then that will be this Sunday on September 26th. And as usual, coming up on Sunday as well, we have our weekly Kirtan with our Kirtan Atlanta team. You can either attend in person at our temple, the address is listed right here, or you can attend virtually via our Kirtan Atlanta Facebook page or our ISKCON Atlanta Facebook page, the links of which you can see right in front of you. We have a few upcoming festivals. On September 27th, we have the anniversary of Srila Prabhupada's arrival in the USA. On October 2nd, we have Indira Ekadasi. On October 15th, we have Sri Madhavacharya's appearance day. And a very important date for everyone to take note of, on October 21st, which I think is a Thursday, is the beginning of Damodar Mas, Kartik month. So please take note of these dates, very important dates, and we can prepare nicely for these auspicious days that are coming up. And we have tons of social media content, classes, kirtans from amazing devotees, not just from our local community, but from around the world. And to keep up to date with everything we are posting, you can easily access all of our social media pages and website, and also links to our WhatsApp groups, where you can keep up to date with our daily updates and also DT Darshan. You simply access our Linktree page, link right here, which can also be found on our Facebook and Instagram pages. And you can easily, with one click, access everything that you see listed here: Instagram, Facebook. We have our temple website, and we have our YouTube page where we regularly upload these classes, the recordings of these classes. And finally, we're going to end off with a request of prayers. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami, His Holiness Amala Bhakta Swami, Her Grace Govardhan Leela Mataji, Her Grace Uttama Radhika Mataji, the doctors who have helped fight COVID-19, and those who have not been able to mention or have forgotten to mention today. So let us chant nicely together the Maha Mantra for the benefit of all the devotees that we've mentioned and anyone we have not mentioned. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you to devotees for joining us once again for our midweek program and the continuation of this wonderful series on the 12 Mahajans. As I mentioned before, please join us next Wednesday for the next part in our series, which is on Prahlad Maharaj. And please also join us on Sunday for our virtual Sunday program. Thank you very much for joining us today once again. Hare Krishna.